All praises to the Most High in Christ. Down here today, Indianapolis. Gonna go down here by the Colts, the dome. Look around at the dome. Just out here riding about, thinking on some things. I just want to say, that I've been hearing people talk about how the transatlantic is a force, is a hoax, right? Because let's see, it's 70 million black. They say, if you listen to the Israelite camps, they say that the colonizers brought them over here. They are the Jews, and the colonizers brought them over here. We just go along with anything the camps say because we're just so happy to have our identity back to an extent, right? We know that we're not some slaves from Africa, right? We know that. And so, but we hear the camp saying, we're the black people in this land is Judah. It's Judah, right? But I hear people all the time saying, there's no way they brought us over here. Not all of us. They might have brought 20 in a boat, but they didn't bring us all over here. And I just let it go because I knew that the Northern Kingdom, you can look at all my videos, I always knew that the Northern Kingdom was here on this continent when during the working of the Renaissance, and the Renaissance began and the colonizers began to come over here. I always knew that the Northern Kingdom was on this land, right? I always did know because why would they be anywhere else? The Most High brought them here as a group. And if you ever traveled this country, you know that you have to be in a group like the 10 tribes to survive this country. And more or less you would stay on that East Coast, right? Most of you. And then after, if you came over here, you would stay on that East Coast. And maybe after the storms and different things happen, you move inland. You move more inland to the interiors of this country. That would be, we see it could be no other way because that's how you survive. They were in survival mode, right? And everybody come here, you have to go into survival mode to survive. You have to think, what would be the best place for me to be to avoid all of these weather disasters and stuff, and God pushed them to the safe zone, right? So they could be safe. So they wouldn't, be destroyed by the elements of the land, right? So, we know that they had to stay together to survive all these animals that was here. Bears, wolves. And the wolves and the bears were not restricted. Mountain lions, let's see what else. Bears, wolves, mountain lions, everything. This place was loaded with animals. And they was not restricted to out to the outskirts of the towns of the humans, like it was no humans here. So they roamed the whole, a mountain lion didn't just stay in the mountains. He came down and walked to the ocean and everything, wherever he could find food. They roamed freely. So, and everybody knows, if you any kind of outdoors person, where they're more, the bigger the congregation of people, the bigger the village, the more the animals, or more afraid the animals are of the people. Animals are afraid of people. That's a natural instinct. But the less people, the less fear the animals have, right? So I'm saying all of this to try to paint a picture. In my mind, this is how I see it. This is a lot of people believe, like I believe, that the Northern Kingdom came here. They didn't stop off on those islands and stuff. And they didn't have a reason to get here and then get mad at Gad, Issachar, Benjamin, and say, we're going to leave y'all here and we're going to go find some other places to land. They never explored the water. They never explored the waters. They don't know what's down there. So they didn't get mad and leave, right? So my next thing is, they were here. They were here. They had no reason. And we know now, if we understand the weather conditions and the food, the availability of food, varieties of food. Not on those islands in South America and all that, they don't have the variety that North America has, right? We know that. That's another reason why they didn't go nowhere looking for better foods. They could grow bananas and pineapples and everything in Florida on those islands. Another reason we know they stayed here and they were taken down out of the coastal area. We have maps that showed where the conquistadors and the colonizers conquered, and how long it took them to conquer all America, North America, all America. We know how long it took them. We have maps of the territories. We have maps that show us the Indian territories. They did not venture in those Indian territories. They fought. It was an ongoing fight for every inch. Gad was here, and Gad helped David take down the Philistines, the Palestinians, the giants. Gad was such a warrior. When Judah, King Solomon, was afraid to fight the Philistines, David came and killed the giant. And the soldiers that David that went along with David when King Saul was hunting David's life, that was Gad. And Gad was here. And so, well, Gad was overthrown by the troops. Gad was overthrown just like all the rest of the Israelites were overthrown. He had to go in slavery. But they didn't get overthrown. They laid their guns down. Just like all the other Northern Kingdom. When you got your family as hostage, and God saying, you're going to go in slavery, I don't care how hard you fight, y'all going in slavery. Y'all some bad boys, and these Edomites and the rest of these nations ain't going to be able to conquer you unless I help them. Hey, you can't whoop the gods of the earth unless God help you. And now your blessing is over, Esau. It's just a good place for me to stop there and say, now your blessings are over. You're not going to be able to defeat us if God don't help you. And he's not helping you anymore to hold the world in your, Well, what he did, he never did really help you. He just didn't chastise you because you're not his sons. So now he's punishing you and bringing you down, so you have no more power. Okay? So, but what I'm saying about Gad, we get back to what I'm really talking about. What is just a quick message is that there's no way we see that the Northern Kingdom is like down below Mexico, South America, and the islands and West Indies. It's over 200 million down there, right? Now that's the Northern Kingdom. We kind of cleared up how they got there. We know they didn't just go down there. And, we know some of it is generating, is generations coming, being born on the earth. Generations. We know some of the number of people come from the generations of, 500 years we've been here? 500 years they generated offspring. But they were here. If we generated 200 million, 2 to 300 million in 500 years, just think about how many people was in the North America when the northern kingdoms have been over here almost 1,500 years, since before, right after Syria in captivity. So just think of that. If you got 300 now here, just think of that. How many people did they generate out of slavery, free, living beautiful on the land? It had to be over 500-600 million people here in North America when they got here. That's not a wilderness. That's civilization, right? So we understand that we believe that, excuse from Hades and some of the little close islands where some people may have got marooned, or just refuge cities or something like that. They didn't leave this place. They didn't have no reason to leave here. They didn't have a reason to leave here. So they were taken down there. So the northern kingdom, a big part of them, was taken down there. Now they didn't need 200 million, 300 million black people on those islands to build their plantations and stuff. Maybe 30, 40,000, something like that, on each island to do the work. So mainly the northern kingdom stayed here, not excluding the Hebrew calendar, the Israelite calendar, 12-tribe calendar. I'm not ignoring that. We do believe that those tribes that are recognized in the 12-tribe chart, they really took some of them, they really took them to those islands and established them. We can look at those islands and see, for a majority view, we can see, hey, that's Benjamin down there. That's Naphtali. That's Issachar. They're over here. We can look and see, okay, we can see those people. We can mark and see that was God's doing, because he gave it to Jacob. He gave it to Jacob and said, this is how you'll know the lost tribes. They'll be in these areas. He didn't say all of them, but he said you can recognize them to know they're still on the earth. They're not lost. They're still on the earth by looking in these areas. Because I'm putting y'all back together, right? He's going to put us back together. Yeah, I shouldn't be down here. I shouldn't be down here at all. It's a lot of traffic. Go to the dome, though. So, I haven't forgot the thumbnail. The northern kingdom, the Israelites that they brought here, 70 million dark-skinned people that you say are Judah, is Judah. The Israelite camp say the 70 million, the dark-skinned people are all Judites. They're all Judites. That's not true. That could no way be possible. Why? Because they could not have brought 70 million or even 40 million or even 3 million Judites from Africa in the short time that they brought, that they're saying they brought I ain't gonna be able to go to that dome, man. I was gonna show y'all the dome, but let's go see if we can see the Pacers Center. The Fever and the Pacers. Let's go see if we can see their center. Oh, it's too crowded. All these lanes are too crowded. But I'm gonna prove to you that they did not bring the dark-skinned people to this land. That's here on this land right here in North America. I'm going to prove to you by math, by the math. Okay, here we go. Hey Siri. When did the transatlantic slave trade begin and end? Okay. Hey Siri, can you tell us, can you tell me when the transatlantic slave trade ended? I'm probably gonna have to read it. The transatlantic slave trade began 1892, right? $1892. I just ran out in the street. She's being a jerk now. She's being a jerk. Hey Siri. When did the transatlantic slave trade end? She down here around all these white folks. She don't want to talk. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. When did the transatlantic slave trade end? Atlantic 18th century to the 19th century. Okay. That sounds good. 18th century to the 19th century. Okay. Let's go with that. What's that? 100 years? Let's go with 200, 300. Let's go from 1692. When we know, really, that's not when it started, right? Because it took them 400 years to get the first white president, right? It took them 400 years to get the first white president. George Washington became president in 1786, 1789, right? So we know 1789, let's say from 1789, because we know the Moors, and the Northern Kingdom was still working. Why the Declaration? Hey Siri. Hey Siri. When was the Declaration of Independence signed? 1776, right? So in 1776, they had to have a treaty signed with whoever the governors of this land were, right? Which what we know was the Moors. It was Morocco. It was, you know, we had our government. There was 9 black presidents before George Washington. So in 1776, we know the Moors, that we know that they signed the Declaration of Independence. They had to get in agreement. They had to draw up a contract to be recognized as a state, right? As a separate state. They had to get permission to be here in this land, right? We know that, right? They separated from Britain. So let's go from 1776, because before then, the Barbary Empire was patrolling the waters. They were charging the colonizers for taking cargo back and forth. And I'm sure they wasn't taking black slaves at that time. Not the Moorish Empire. not the northern kingdom, was not transporting their own people. You can't show me that nowhere in history. That's a damn lie, if you try. So, let's go from 1776 to the late 1900s. 17, 18, 19. Let me see, 1770, 1876, 1976. That's 200 years. Right? So, for 200 years, they transported slaves. Let's just give them that, okay? Wait a minute, 1976 now? Yeah, maybe. They wasn't transporting them from Africa. Let's go from 1776 to 1930. 1930. 1776, 1876, 1930. Let's just give it 200 years anyway. Hey Siri, what's 200 times 200? 40,000. Did you see that? Did you see that? 200 times 200 is 40,000. So in 200 years, putting 200 slaves, how many slaves do you think they could load those cargo ships with? Even if they packed them in like sardines, and you know they lost half of their cargo on the way over here. So let's say they packed 200 in there, and it took them a year and a half, right, to get here. And they brought 200 every year, or 400 every year. Say they brought 400. Let's say if they brought 400 slaves a year. Hey Siri, what's 200 times 400? 80,000. And you say they brought how many? You say how many of the black people are Judah? They only brought 80,000 over here. They only had time to bring 80,000 people if they packed them in 400 a year. It took them a year to get over here. It took the Northern Kingdom a year and a half to get here. So let's just say they was a little faster than the Northern Kingdom, although God prepared the waters and held back the floods and all of that for the Northern Kingdom. He prepared a smooth sailing for them. These people plowed through everything, all kind of rough water and everything, you know, because they were going against nature when they had God's children in the bottom of those boats. You know, so let's get them 200 years. Let's get them a year, 400 a year. Let's say they had 3 ships. 2, 4, 6, 8. 800 a year. Let's try that. Hey Siri, what's 800 times 200?
800 times 200 is 160,000.
They couldn't do it. They couldn't have done it. Stop saying that Judah is the only dark-skinned people in this land. It's 70 million people here. What happened? How can you make it make sense that the math don't math out? They couldn't have brought us over here. Judah is not the only dark-skinned Israelites in this land, on this side. It don't math out. It don't math. We just did the math. So, you know, if you follow those camps, only follow them like Christ said follow them. They're Pharisees. So you only follow them. And I mean, you might have some good ones and stuff that follow the truth and teach right, but most of those people are following out of teaching out of pride, man. They're not teaching the truth when it comes to these numbers and stuff and who the tribes are. They got that all messed up. They don't care if you debunk them. They just gonna stay out there because they are out there. They're hirelings. Israelites are hirelings. The Bible said they would be hirelings. A lot of the Israelite camps are hirelings. Israelites can be hirelings. That's who he was telling it to, dumb dogs. If you try to bring some truth to them, before they'll repent and say, okay, we had that wrong, they will keep lying, man. Not putting them down, but I'm telling you, read the Bible for yourself. There's a lot of stuff they guys come out off the streets, man, most of them. They didn't have a 5th grade comprehension level or reading level. And do you know how hard it is to decipher communication? You have to have, really, before you can become a good communicator, you have to go at least 2 years in college to get to that level, to where you can communicate textbooks and journalist style. You have to, you have to be in the, you have to be able to decipher characters and messages on a professional level, because you have to be able to practice staying in context. A lot of these guys don't practice staying in context. They always run back to the Greek and Hebrew when the Bible's already been translated from Greek and Hebrew into English. Everything, and then they go back and pick whatever word fit. They go back and look at the different words and whatever word fit, because every word don't mean the same thing in every context. They go back and whatever the context they want to try to teach, the false doctrine is, then they'll pick that word out. When you got to read the Bible from the front to the end to understand the context, you got to understand the stories. You got to understand the stories. They'll jump in and cherry pick a scripture and say, hey, let's look this word up. And then they'll pick out whatever context they want to put that word in. They go pick it out of the the Strong's Concordance, the different concordance, Greek and Hebrew, and they interject that word when that word in that particular context don't mean that. So you got to watch it. You got to read and stay in context from the beginning of the Bible to the end. You don't have to, you don't have to always run to the Greek and Hebrew. Most time you're going to go off if you do that, because you haven't read the stories. You haven't understood God from the beginning to the end. So no, all black people are not Judites. The Northern Kingdom didn't all turn white. And some Northern Kingdom don't have as much melanin than others. Some of the mulatto people are Spaniards, Esau's children. Some of the Hispanics are Edomites with a little melanin in their skin. They're mulattoes and they're Edomite mulattoes. Some are Negro mulattoes. Israelite mulattoes, and that's the wheat and the tare. If they tell you, if they black, if they're Israelite mulattoes and they tell you they don't want to have nothing to do with their birthright, then they're not real Israelites. If they're white mulattoes and they tell you they don't want to have nothing to do with their birthrights, then they're Esau. They're from the bloodline of Esau, and they're not Israelites, okay? But not, all dark-skinned people are not Judites. That's my message right there. All dark-skinned people who are Israelites are not Judites. Judites are not the only dark-skinned Israelites. And they'll run to Acts and read to where they said Barnabas and one of the other apostles they called them niggers. So all the other Jews were not black? All the other apostles were not black? So because they just called Barnabas and it was at Silas, they called them niggas. There was a nigga in the Bible. It was a couple of niggas in there. Well, all the Jews was niggas. You see what I mean? They don't have the comprehension level. They running. You gotta watch cherry picking, man. They don't even know that they are saying it wasn't but two. Some of the Jews they referred to them as niggas. A couple of them, like Paul and Barnabas, or Barnabas and Silas, whichever one that is in Acts. They said they called them niggas. See that? They called us niggas. That's how you want to call you nigga. But what you also missing is that they said it was just a couple of them that they called niggas. They referred to as niggas. So they was the only dark-skinned Jews in Jerusalem, in Asia Minor and all through there. It was only two. So you got to be very careful how you follow these people, man, because their comprehension level is very low. Like I said, you got to practice, and the more you understand communications, the better your comprehension level will get. But you have to read the stories. You have to follow a linear line of logic to understand the Bible. You can't cherry pick your way through the Bible or any book. Most books are read in sequence or written in sequence. They tell a story. And so, yeah, all praises to the Most High in Christ. Let me see. There's a lot of traffic out here. And we're headed back in. Let me see what Trump is doing. So all praise to the Most High. And shalom. Peace be with you. And God bless all Israel. All Israel be blessed.